Hello, in this video tutorial we will be demonstrating how you can leverage the features in AvanTax eForms to prepare CRA or RQ information slip returns using the T4A as an example. AvanTax eForms can be used to prepare many different tax slips, but in this tutorial we will be focusing on the T4A slip. See our website for a list of available forms. The purpose of this video is to attempt to do a very quick start-to-finish overview of using the software. In addition to this video, we also have a wide selection of shorter videos which cover specific topics from installation to submitting your return to the CRA or RQ. You can find these on our website. Here are the basic steps involved in the process of preparing and submitting your information return. First, make sure you have downloaded and installed eForms. Until you purchase a license, you can use eForms as a trial, and it only has a few features disabled. Prepare a spreadsheet containing your slip data. Note that if you have eForms Enterprise, then you can import your data from a spreadsheet, but if you are using eForms Basic or eForms Lite, you would need to enter the data manually at the keyboard. Then, import the data into eForms. After the import, you'll check your totals and your data by looking at the slips, the summary, and the edit list. You can create an XML file for the government. When it passes all validation, then you can prepare your slips. The important part is to check your work. And when you are ready, submit the XML to the government and distribute the slips. So let's get started and do a quick run-through of eForms. This is going to be a speed run. I'll be talking fast, so if you need a moment, just pause the video. Here's a possible set of steps that you can use while using eForms to prepare your information return. These steps are not meant to be a rigid procedure, but rather a guideline. First, you would start and log into eForms. Then you would either create or open a database. Database is the file which eForms uses to store its data, and is usually stored in your Documents folder or a common area on your network. Third, you may have to configure eForms for the desired form if it's not one of the defaults. After this is done, you would either create or open a company that you need to work with. Complete the company setup, which brings us to step 6 to enter information on the summary. After that, you would prepare your import template. Number 8, you would import the data, and then following that, you would view slips and summary and edit list to check your work. And number 10, you would do some configuration to fill in the XML transmitter information screen so that it's ready to be sent to CRA or RQ. Then you can prepare your XML and correct any issues that it reports. In step 12, you would export the slips to PDF files. And then almost at the end, you would review and validate all your output. And finally, you would submit the XML to the government and distribute the slips to the recipients. And you're done. So with that aside, let's start the speed run by looking at the software. First, start eForms and log in if it asks you to. Then you will have to either open or create a database where you can store the slip data. If you've already been working on the system, you will see in the center of the screen a list of databases which have been recently opened. You can select one of them if you like and carry on. However, if you need to create a new database or you're just getting started, select File, New Database, browse to the folder where you want it to be, type in the name, and let the system create the database. Next, you might have to configure the current database to process the forms you're interested in. Click Configure Current Database. By default, eForms will process T4s, T4As, T5s, Rel A1s, and Rel A3s. But if you want to do any of the other forms, then select it from the list. In this case, let's say I want to do NR4s and T4A NRs. Configure the database, allow it to finish the backup, and in a moment it'll be done. Then push OK to continue, and close to return to the Start menu. Next, we'll have to set up a company to hold the relevant slips. In order to do so, select Company and New Company. Type in the name of the company and push OK. At this point, you'll have to type in the company's full business name and address, plus the relevant account information. Press Close when you are done. You can see that the company that you just added will be listed in the selection box in the top corner of the screen. At this point, I'm going to select a different database which I have prepared in advance. Now you can see the company is called Acme Inc. If I go into Company and Company Setup, you'll see that I've already set up the business name, address, and the account information. Sometime after the company is set up, you have to go into the summary and make sure the contact information is correct. Forms, CRA forms, T4A, and summary. I've already filled this in and look to see if there's any other information that needs to be entered. From here, you can push the Go to Slips button. At this point, no slips have been entered. You can see across the top of the screen there's a tab which says Summary and one for T4A. Alternatively, you could go into Forms, CRA Forms, T4A, and pick either the T4A slip or the summary. Let's return to the Start page. At this time, you are ready to set up your import template. AvanTax eForms comes with a template which you can fill in with your data. You can access the template with this link here. This is what the import template would look like. There's a tab for each of the forms eForms can process. Select the tab which corresponds to the template for your form, and you can fill it in. For this tutorial, I have some prepared. Once you've typed the data in, you can save it, but make sure you do a Save As and don't overwrite the original blank template. For the T4A, you can see that there's a variety of information that's required. Last name, first name, initial if they have one, address, city, province, and postal code, the country, the taxation year, the slip status, which in this case is O for original, the social insurance number, and the rest of it is typically the numeric values for the form. In this case, we will be using the Other Income field. If you slide over to the end of the spreadsheet, you will see that there's a column for the email address and one for the permission to email the slip. There's only one other thing I want to point out. You can see that some of the rows start with the word null. This indicates that the import should ignore that row. A specific application of this would be, as an example, in line 8, where we've got a total column for the other income. In this case, you can enter that information for your own edit checking, but eForms will not try to import it. Save and close your spreadsheet. At this time, you are ready to do the import. Select Tools, Import Export Data, and Import from Excel file. Select Browse to pick your template. Make sure you selected the right worksheet. Import into Current Company, and then Import. Now the import is complete. Now let's see what happened. Another way to get to the forms is to go into Forms, Form Center, pick T4A, and then pick Edit Slips. You can see the information that has been imported. You can edit the data here if you like. If you want to add a new slip, please use the New button in the top toolbar. To delete a slip, press the Delete icon. You can use the VCR buttons to navigate between slips, and this page with a magnifying glass on it to do a search and pick list. Flip through the slips to see if it's reasonable. Then click Go to Summary. Check the totals and the counts to make sure that they are correct. At this time, we also recommend that you prepare an edit list. In order to prepare an edit list, you can go into Reports, Reports Center, pick T4A, and then pick Edit List. An edit list is just a data list so you can verify that everything is correct. Select Used Fields. Make sure that the information in the options is the way you would like it, and then Print Preview. You can see all the data that was entered, plus company information and account information. There is one more thing you have to configure before producing the XML. Go to Setup, User Settings, Electronic Filing. This is the information that must be entered and is used by the XML file. Everything with an asterisk is required. At this point, you are ready to create the XML. To access this feature, push Electronic Filing, Canada Revenue Agency, make sure T4A is picked, then push XML File and Validation Report. If eForms displays a list of critical errors, they must be fixed before the XML file is submitted. In this case, it suggests that there's a problem with the recipient's surname. We're going to click on this link which says Edit Slip, and I can see that the information is blank, so I'm just going to fill it back in. Go back to the electronic filing report, cancel, and then go back into the XML file and validation report. You can see the critical error report is gone. If there are no critical errors, you may receive some warnings which don't need to be fixed, but should be fixed if you have the data at hand. When you are ready, push the Next button at the top. Once you get to step 6, the XML file has been created and may be ready for submission. If you wish to take a look at the XML file, you can push Advanced and go to File Location. Here is the XML file. If I open it up in a browser, I can see the output. You don't have to look at this. It's optional, but some people like to do so. Step 7, there's a button which allows you to go to the government website to do the filing. When you are there, you can submit the file which is specified in that output folder there. Remember to submit the correct file. After you've submitted the file on the Revenue Canada website, you can go to step 8. Say you've submitted the file, enter the number they've given you, and then push Finish. Answer this question as desired. You can prepare your slips. In order to do so, you can go back to the Report Center, which is under Reports. The Report Center, pick the slip type you wish, and then when you get to this screen, make sure you've picked the slips that you want to process. It's best to pick Save PDF Files. Make sure that recipient copy is selected, and then push Preview PDF. You'll see the PDF file it created. Only answer this question as yes if you are doing government copies and you plan on submitting these by paper. I'm going to say no. In order to look at the output, click Output folder, and you'll see the PDF files it created. We are now at the end of the speed run illustrating how to use AvanTax eForms to prepare a T4A return. When you are ready, submit the XML to CRA or RQ if you are doing forms for Quebec and distribute the slips. But one final comment on the importance of checking your work. At the start, recheck your spreadsheet to make sure there are no issues. You can flip through the slips to see if they are reasonable. You can view or print a summary to check the totals, and you can also review the edit list to verify the information. At this point, we are done processing the T4A submission. And remember, you can always call technical support for help. We are available during business hours, Eastern Standard Time, by email, chat, or phone. Thank you for listening.